Welcome to the Archive Network. I'm Aurelius, and with me, as always, Malik. We curate the Conflict Archive. Today we open a new file, Mongol Conquests. Malik, you've had this one on your desk for a while. Before the Mongols became the most feared force on Earth, they lived in a world that was both beautiful and brutal. Icy winds whipped across the endless grasslands, defining their existence. Life was a constant gamble, where betrayal could bring swift doom. The steppe was relentless, a harsh teacher, shaping warriors from the weak. In such an unforgiving landscape, survival demanded strength and cunning. Each day was a test, forging a fierce resilience that would later sweep through empires.
Aurelius, you're painting a vivid picture, but we can't forget the human cost. Those icy winds weren't just a backdrop. They were a force that shaped lives, dreams, and destinies. Each day was a struggle for survival, not just for individuals but whole families. It wasn't merely a harsh environment. It was a relentless battle against the elements. Imagine the courage it took to face that every morning. Each story is a testament to resilience in the face of overwhelming odds.
The Mongols lived divided among clans, each fiercely loyal to their own. They thrived on the bow and the horse, tools of survival in a harsh landscape. Loyalty was paramount, yet trust could vanish in an instant. Smoke from distant camps curled in the air, a reminder of raiders lurking nearby. Empires rise by transcending these petty divides, consolidating power to shape the world. They weave together the threads of disparate peoples into a single tapestry, often at a great cost.
But, Aurelius, it's not just about power dynamics. Those clans were families, tied together by blood, and shared stories that shaped their lives. They weren't mere statistics on a map. Each rivalry carried deep emotional scars and ancient grudges. A stolen horse wasn't just theft. It could ignite a war that lasted decades, tearing apart communities and leaving wounds that never healed. People lost their homes, their loved ones. The cost of these conflicts went far beyond what anyone could measure.
Nightly councils around flickering fires were fraught with tension. We saw men sitting on the edge of their seats, daggers close at hand, fully aware of the perilous line between loyalty and betrayal. Alliances were as fragile as glass, held together by the thinnest thread. In such an environment, a leader was bound to emerge. Temujin was that leader, rising above the chaos, his vision cutting through the uncertainty. It was a moment that would change the course of history, setting the stage for what was to come.
True, but Temujin's rise was born from tragedy. Losing his father at such a young age left him vulnerable, but it also ignited a fire within him that would shape his entire life. He became the embodiment of resilience, truly. Each hardship he faced, every loss, forged him into someone stronger. He learned to transform pain into a relentless drive for unity among the tribes. It's remarkable how his struggles turned into a vision for a future where everyone could belong.
He faced constant betrayal, a relentless cycle of shifting alliances and bitter enmities. Each bond he forged was fragile, capable of shattering overnight. Temujin's charisma drew followers, but loyalty always came with hidden costs. This uncertainty influenced his strategies just as much as his relentless ambition. We see how he navigated these treacherous waters, making alliances with one hand while preparing for conflict with the other. Every decision was a gamble, a calculated risk in the game of power.
And yet, that very uncertainty bred violence and grief in ways we often overlook. Midnight raids weren't just tactical moves. They were desperate responses fueled by fear and hunger. The steppe became a graveyard for the weak, while the strong clawed their way to survival. Mothers cried out for their lost children, their sorrow turning into curses against the relentless cycle of revenge. Each loss carved deeper scars, reminding us that behind every act of brutality lies a shattered family.
The Mongol steppe resembled a vast chessboard, pieces shifting in anticipation. Temujin's rise was becoming impossible to ignore. Old rivals, sensing the threat to their power, banded together out of fear for his ambition. Meanwhile, empires like the Jin and the Western Ca continued to engage in their own petty intrigues. They were so consumed by their internal struggles that they dismissed the gathering storm brewing in the north. History has a way of catching the unprepared off guard.
That's the irony, isn't it? While those empires were busy squabbling over taxes and drawing up borders, they completely missed the real danger lurking on the horizon. They got so lost in their own politics that they turned a blind eye to the forces that were really shaping their fate. Meanwhile, the Mongols were out there sharpening their arrows and gearing up for war. They weren't sitting around in meetings. They were preparing to change everything, and the human cost would be immense.
By the dawn of the 13th century, Temujin managed to unite the fragmented Mongol tribes. His radical vision aimed for a single nation, not just a collection of rival clans fighting for scraps. The Kurultai held at the Anan River was crucial. In 1206 he was declared Genghis Khan, and it was a moment of both triumph and trepidation. Old enemies, once fierce and unyielding, knelt before him in silence, marking the beginning of a new era. This was just the start of something monumental.
But this unification didn't bring peace, not at all. It was really just the beginning of chaos. The oath sworn at the Anan River became both a promise and a threat, a double-edged sword. Genghis Khan's ambition didn't stop there. It turned outward, eyeing the rich cities that stood as symbols of a world split between those who ruled and those who were ruled. His campaigns would soon unleash untold suffering on countless families, turning lives upside down in the name of conquest.
Temujin's rise was forged in blood and fire, a forge of pain and perseverance. The Mongol nation, born of hardship, stood poised to erupt like a volcano. As tensions simmered across the steppes, the world remained blissfully unaware. Yet change was afoot. The spark for conquest was not just near. It was imminent, ready to ignite a series of events that would reshape entire civilizations. History, as we know, often waits for no one, and this time would be no different.
That's where we leave it for now. Part 1 of 5, Mongol Conquests, is far from done. If you're new here, we're Aurelius and Malik, curators of the Conflict Archive, part of the Archive Network. Part 2 drops soon.